Hi everybody, it's Missy with Southern Theory Designs. Today we are going to be working on a little something different than tumblers. We are going to be making a non-surgical N95 cover for their masks. This does not take the place of a surgical mask or a protective mask, I guess you can call it. This is a cover to cover it so they can get more uses out of the one mask if they don't come in contact with a patient who is positive. It was against my better judgment when I first heard about people doing this, but as I talked to my three best friends who are all nurses, pediatrics, emergency rooms, they're everywhere. I also spoke to my husband who flies medevac and he transfers a lot of patients, so they are all required to wear the N95 and they are running low. They thought this was a good idea, so I had to bite the bullet and figure out how to make one. So I've already made one, and I wish I had thought to show it to you, but my husband went to work, and he took it with him. So he's going to be flying all night with his cover over his N95, and hopefully it will help him a little bit. Even if it gives me a false sense of security, then, it's probably done its job. This, again, I cannot stress this enough. This is not to take the place of any PPE, protective personal equipment, that anybody should be wearing around somebody who is sick. This is just an added layer of protection. Okay, so with that being said, I got this pattern from a nurse, and they said that this is what they need and what they request. This is not going to look like a normal surgical mask that just covers here and then goes around the ear. This is actually a full face cover that covers the entire N95, and then it comes back with two ties. So I do have elastic, but this was before I did some research on which mask would be the best. So what you're going to need is some fabric, of course. This one that I'm making right now is for one of my neighbors. She is a nurse. She works in an urgent care, and here in Savannah, they are probably one of the only places that is doing, they're collecting samples to send off to the lab for testing. So she's coming face to face with it every day. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Savannah is just now starting to have cases pop up. So we think we're at the very beginning of it. Anyways, so this one's going to be for her. What I decided to use for her is kind of like the same fabric that I used for my husband. And this is actually, I know, it looks wonderful, right? This is how big it is. Okay? It looks kind of like this. And what I do is I pick a complementary color to go on the back. And I thought this was really pretty, these two colors together. One's like a turquoise, and it has like a turquoise inside of it. I know you probably can't see it, but I thought it was really pretty. And for the edging, I'm going to use the same color just to make it pop a little bit. Now, you're going to want to know, how did I get my squares cut? So, being a crafter, I always have cardstock because I like to do my tumblers. I like to put a little care card inside my tumblers, and I have all kinds of cardstock lying around. So I just grabbed some cardstock and I went ahead and cut this out. It makes it so much easier than tracing paper because this is, a lot sturdier. On it, what it needs to be, and let's see if I can show you. Here, and here is all 5.5 inches, and this is 7.5 inches. Okay? So this down here is where your fold is going to be on your fabric. So say your fabric is, this is your fabric. You have your fabric right here. It's folded. Okay. You're going to take, let's see, you're going to take I dotted it up here so I know, if it dashes it there so I know that's not where I'm going to cut. You put that at the fold. And I cut a little extra here, for the white part. And so you'll see. And then I went ahead and I took a pen and I just drew around, marked around it. okay? And that's how I got this. Okay, this is the proper size that you want. This will fit men and women. Women, it might be a little bit looser. You can, and I'll show you how you can tighten it up a little bit if it's for a woman. So you will see also on here, I came a 1/2 inch in, and I went ahead and did the same shape. Okay, do I have my measurement tape here? I am not a professional seamstress, but I am 49 years old, and my mama thought it was very important when I was younger to learn how to sew. So I have been sewing. I've been dabbling in sewing probably now for 45 years. I was knee-high to a grasshopper when my mom sat me in front of a sewing machine and said, "You're learning." Anyways, so as you can see, 5.5 here, 5.5. It's 5.5. You can't. Where's that 6? It says 6. Okay, so I was wrong. 5.5, 5.5, 6, and then this is 7.5. Sorry, I do not have it in front of me. You can see that's 7.5. And then you want to go ahead and do the same thing inside, and you want it to be 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. And you're going to see that I have these little things right here, these little lines right here. These are going to be cutout points, okay? So if you can see, it's 1 inch, 1 inch, okay? And we can get to those later. We'll kind of show you how to do that in a little bit. So the next thing you're going to do, now that you have 2 pieces, you can do the same. It doesn't matter. I just found that it looked better. You know, if you're going to make it, you might as well make it to last and make it look good. Okay, so that's done. The next thing you need to do is you need to cut out, this is 10 inches. You need to cut out, it's 1.5 inches wide. Let me just make sure I'm not lying to you. 1.5 inches wide, and it's 10 inches long. Excuse me. What I did it 10 inches long because I was using cardstock, but it needs to be 20 inches long. So what I did to get this is I folded my fabric, and it's not perfect. It's not perfectly cut. That's okay. And you can see, so I have 10 inches of fabric, maybe a little bit more. It's okay because we're going to trim it. Don't worry about it if it's a little bit more. You'd rather have more than less. So when I open it up, it ends up being 20 inches. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to cut, see how long this is? It's 2 of these. You need to cut 5 of these. Okay? So once you cut 5 of these, what you're going to do is you're going to take one. Let me see if I can find where. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. This one. So these are 2. Okay? And we're going to end up cutting these, because this is going to be for the side. Okay? So you're going to cut 5 20-inch strips. You're going to cut 2 of these. And that's all the fabric you're going to need. That's it right there. Okay? So we're going to put this to the side. Hopefully you can pause me here, and when you're finished cutting, please come back and we will continue on with what we're doing and the step that we're in. Okay? Hey everybody, now that you are back with me and you have caught up with me, the first thing I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to hit this with my iron just to make sure it's nice and flat. I do have a mini ironing board right next to me, but yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that. My iron turned off because it was sitting up straight for too long. Okay, it's starting to warm up. Make sure you iron it because you don't want it to be dimply and, you know, just wrinkled. Because once you get this started, you are not going to have a chance to iron it. So just give it a good once over if your iron is heated up. I'm sorry, I probably should have told you at the beginning of this you were going to need an iron. And as you know, like in all my videos, we're learning as we go. Oh, somebody is messaging me. How nice is that? So what you want to do is lay, if you're using a patterned fabric, lay it face down. If you're using another patterned, face it up. But I'm using this one, so it doesn't matter. We're not going to flip this inside out like we do a lot of things like pillowcases and everything. You're not going to be flipping it inside out. Okay, so what you see is going to be what you get. Wissy bang. What you see is what you get. Okay, so it's going to be like this. And what you want to do is you just want to go and just pin some areas. That pin is jacked up. I need to throw that thing away. And I always pin it a little bit in so I don't have to bust a needle. I am notorious for busting needles going over pins. And you just need to keep it to where it's. See, that's another jacked up needle. That might be why I'm busting needles on my sewing machine. Make sure you're all straight. See, look, I'm all jacked up here. That would have been a really bad faux pas. And this is why we double check every time we're sewing. Okay, I think I'm good now. Let's try this again there, home slice. Don't leave it that low. Okay. Do you need time to catch up? Let me know. You can put pause on now if you're still trying to catch up. Okay, so now that you have your fabric cut and pinned appropriately, you want on both sides, you want the color that you want out. You do not want, we're not going to be flipping it. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to sew it together using a 1/2 inch seam around all 4 sides. This is considered one side, so 5 sides technically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So hopefully I don't run out of bobbin thread because I've been working on these all day. I mean, if you don't have enough and you can only do 1/4 of an inch, that's still better than nothing, but a 1/2 inch is pretty much the standard. Don't forget to do a nice back stitch so it doesn't come out. Pivot. Yes, I did go there. Pin. I need to go a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more. There we go. Just keep making sure that your fabric is nice and flat, no crinkles in it. To the top. Now remember, these are not perfect. They're homemade with lots of love. And right now, if you make a mistake, take on it, I don't think anybody is really going to fault you. You can see I don't have the best sewing machine in the world, but it works for me most of the time. And we're going to back stitch it now that we're at the end. Let's see. I'm a stickler for threads. I do have a garbage can right there. I'm not being a slob. You can go ahead and take your pins out of this one. Okay. And look how pretty this is. So it's all nice and done. I am going to cut the bottom of this off, this white part. Oh, I should have grabbed my other shears. Garbage. Garbage. You're not needed no more. You're garbage. I don't have any of those fancy sewing things. I wish I had one of those rotary tools right about now. So now what we want to do is we're going to want to start making our pleats in there. So with your pointed side pointing away from you, fold the fabric side down, bring the bottom side of the fabric up and over the side. That's crazy. So what I do is I just make folds like this, okay? And you want them to be about 1/4 of an inch. And a lot of people will say, no, pin it first. I'm not going to pin it first because it just, from my experience, ironing it first is so much easier. This. Now, you want to keep your, where did I put my thing? When your pleats are all said and done, you want them to be about 3, you want it to be about 3 inches. I only have 2 pleats in this one, and it's already 3 inches, so I might have made my pleats just a little too big. So let's just take some of these pleats out. That's the good thing about ironing. You can re-iron it. Get rid of the old pleat. It's hot. It's very, very hot to the touch. Let's get this pleat out here. Honestly, what I have learned is the pleats really aren't going to matter too much in the middle because the mask actually opens up. Do you need to see me? Actually opens up a little bit. So now I'm going to do the second pleat right above it. It's hot. 1 pleat, 2 pleat, 3 pleat, 4 pleat. Yeah, we're just going to do 3 pleats. I'm just singing. Here's our 3rd pleat. Again, these do not have to be perfect. I wish I was there to help you out with this, but just follow along the best that you can. We all know that my videos are train wrecks. We don't have to remind me. Okay, so there are my 3 pleats. And look along the edge. Perfection, 3 inches. And what I want to do is find a pin that's not jacked up. I'm going to pin it. I'm going to do the same to the other side. I think it's already wanting to come up. That's okay. Nobody likes to be held down, Mr. Pleat. Okay, so now that our pleats are down, we're going to go ahead and sew those suckers into place. Okay, so you're going to put it back on your machine. You're going to go over where I'm putting my needle is going to be the same. If you can see it, it's going to be right here where I did my last stitch. Get a back stitch. You want that back stitch just to give you a little extra holding power. Okay, take that out. One side. Now let's do the other side. The first one I did, I had to decipher this nurse's, how she did it. I had to decipher it because she didn't give really great instructions. And after going over it, I was like reading it to my husband, and he was just like, dude, how'd you figure that out? I'm like, oh, luck. It was pure luck. But that's why I'm only working on my second one now, and it should not have taken me an hour and some change to get that sucker done. So I pull the needles out here. Okay, so this is what you should have right now. Okay, this is actually the front of mine. And when it's done, it actually opens up. Okay, but we don't want to do that yet. We're still working on it. Okay. So as long as everybody is caught up. Okay. So our next step is what we're going to do is we're going to mark and sew darts. And darts are going to be what holds it like this, so it's not just floppy like this. See, because like right now, if you put it on, it's like that. When you get the darts on, it's going to be more fitted to the face. Okay. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to find out which side we want in the front. This is the side we want in the front. So you're going to have that facing up, and you're going to fold it in half. Just be sure that you have your pleats all good and lined and folded down, because we don't want to jack those up any. And this is where this piece came in that I showed you on our template that we made. Right here and right here. Okay, I did show you this, right? 5.5, 6, 7.5, 5.5. Okay, and then 1 inch in. So this is where we're going to use these, and you're going to put a needle. Okay, we're going to mark that off, and we're going to do the same to the bottom. And now we're going to sew it, so it's going to look like this. And those are going to be your sew lines. Okay. And I usually just put it under here. Make sure that it's not on one of my pleats. That's not one of my pleats. And then we're going to sew in a nice diagonal back stitch. Well, hello. I don't have that much thread to screw up. You can see the little back stitch right there. Now we're going to go ahead and do the one on top. If I'm going too fast for you, please hit pause and take a break. Catch up with us and hit play. when you're done with your back stitch, you're going to kind of be able to see what it looks like now. I guess I should put you up, huh? So now that you have the back stitch in, see how it's fitted? Okay, and you can hold it to yourself and find out if you're going to need more. Now, remember, you don't want it to fit really, really tight because these are going to be worn over a N95 mask, which is very bulky. It is huge, okay? So you want to put it on and put it back to your ears. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. And feel, this is nice. It's flush with underneath my chin, so it's perfect. Okay? So we good. We good on that. Now the fun starts. And you know when I mean fun, I mean, oh God. So on these, you're going to go ahead and cut off the spare fabric for comfort. And don't cut your finger off because you can't go to the hospital right now. It's the last place in the world you really want to be. I hate these scissors. Okay, so now it looks nice and uniformed. Okay, you got it. Everybody's tracking with me? Okay. So if you have any extras on the edges, now's a chance to go ahead and trim them. It's hard to get through these pleats. It really is. So you want to leave just a little bit of fabric right there, not a whole bunch. See how I have, I have a bunch there? We're going to go ahead and cut that off. And you can do that all the way around the mask, is cut the extra off. I probably should have gotten my light that I use for my epoxy cups, but we are just trimming off the excess on the outside and down here also. And I know it looks pretty rough now. It gets better. It's just like when we do our tumblers. Sometimes they don't look good until you're done. Okay, I'm going to face you back down so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So the next step is we're going to go ahead and we're going to prepare our binding. So let's put this to the side for right now. And our binding is all these strips that I told you to get together. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of the 20-inch long ones. And you are going to do a 90-degree angle with them. I know this sounds so crazy. You're going to do a 90-degree angle with them, and then you're going to sew from corner to corner, from here to here. Okay? Did everybody get that? If you didn't get it, I'll show you in just a second when I get mine done. Let me just get mine. Thread came undone. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. Let me get rid of this thread on the end. Okay, that's how we're going to do that. I got to make sure that my thread isn't mad at me, and then I have enough to do my second one. This has been the little sewing machine that could all afternoon. I was trying to cook dinner. before my husband went to work. Look at that. I came out. Darn it. Okay, here we go. Glasses on. Okay, we're rethreaded. Now we're going to go again from corner to corner. Line it up. I'm running out of bobbin thread, so this is probably a good time for that to happen. Okay, so now we have this. What I want you to do is to cut off the excess, this portion right here above our line. You're going to see it's going to be like that. This will all make sense in the end, I promise everybody. And then you're going to take your other one and you're going to cut it in half if you haven't already got to that step already. Okay, we're going to hit pause here. I'm going to redo my bobbin and we'll come back and finish this in just a second. Okay? Okay, so I redid a little bit of my bobbin. So I just got another bobbin ready. Okay, because we really don't have that much more to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to attach the side binding. That's what this is, and that's going to go on the sides. Okay, so what we're going to do is you are going to, I guess I should do this side so you can see it. What we want to do is lay it down like this. Okay, you can actually even like this. Okay, just on top like that. I'm actually going to go the other direction because I'm right-handed. And I'm going to leave it a little bit off and I'll cut that. Okay, so we're going to put this on here. Make sure it's flush with the edge. And we're going to go over our line that we've already sewn. Okay, and that's how we're going to attach this. There's a reason for everything in sewing. Every stitch. And don't forget your back stitch. Locks it into place. Lock it into place. You can see my bobbin's starting to get a little testy with me. I hate a messy workstation. At this point, I'm going to cut a little bit of it off because it's just in the way. Okay. From here, you're going to take your iron, you're going to flip it over. You're going to want to make sure that you cover up any stitches underneath here. So you're going to flip it over and iron it. Okay, so let me see if I can show this to you easier. Flip it over like this. And iron, if your iron is hot, unlike mine. Okay, it's hot still. It turns off automatically if it sits up too long. So now you have it ironed. Okay, turn it over. Just fold the very tip of this one. Let me iron it and I will show to you. Ironing helps it stay down. Some people just use pins. Again, I prefer using the iron. So what we've done is we've ironed here to make it nice and flat, and then we've ironed up here. Now what you want to do is you want to flip this over so it's like this. Does that make sense? Okay, so we sewed it. Let me put it on here. We sewed it flat. We flipped it up and ironed it. Flipped it over. Ironed this. And now it is so much easier for us to sew this portion down. Okay, this is going to be our binding on the side. I've never taught sewing except to my kids, and they really didn't care to learn. So I'm sorry if I'm going too fast, but I promise you this is a much better tutorial than the written tutorial that I watched to learn how to make this earlier. I'm not bashing on her. She did the best that she could do in a short amount of time. Like I said, she's a nurse, and she'd be busy. She'd be very busy. So this is what you should have now. Okay. Doesn't it look nice? Looks really good. Let me check my bobbin. I still got it. Okay, I got thread still. So I think I can actually use the piece that I cut from here on the other side, which will be nice. Save some. We're going to do the same thing again on the other side. We're going to take it and sew it. Burn myself. Move your iron. Okay. Technical difficulties. Give me a second. There we go. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to save some thread, and I'm going to do a cheat stitch. If you know what I'm doing, please feel free to do it. I am actually just going to do one stitch at this time. I'm not going to do 3. So I'm folding them how I want it folded, ironing it down. Sometimes this is a little easier if you know how to sew. If you're a new beginner, this might be a little like, what the heck is she doing? But a lot of times you can buy your binding in the store already like this. It makes life so much easier. But right now we're in trying times and we're just working with what we have on hand. So I'm going to make my own binding really quick. So you'll see what I did. I folded the 2 ends in, and then I folded this in. And this is you can buy this binding at Joann's, Michael's, wherever. Okay. So now I'm just going to have to do 1 stitch, but I'm just going to have to be careful to make sure I get it all. Don't Get your back stitch. Make sure it's all the way in there. So I'm going to cut the edges off now. Do not cut any places where you had a stitch, because you will unravel the whole sucker. And this is a good time to take any flyaways and cut them off. I need smaller scissors or better scissors. These are like my big honker scissors. If my husband was home, I would be screaming right now for him to get me some little scissors. But no, he is working. Okay? So at this point of the game, this is what you should have. Okay? Oh, hello. That's why we're pointing down. So, again, test it to fit. This is fitting pretty good. And if they want, they can use it, they can change it, but you're going to see your lines. So that's why it's kind of not reversible, but that's, you know, do you really want to reverse it with the cooties on the outside and put the cooties on the inside closer to your face? So I'm going to give you a moment to catch up, and I'm going to go get a drink really quick, and then we're going to come back to working on the final steps of it, which is going to be our binding on the top, which is these, and I'm going to show you how to sew them. So when they're up here, you can tie them. You can tie them around your face. It's like 50 Shades of Grey. You can tie them around your face. Okay. So catch up, rewind, do what you need to do to get where we are right now, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that you are caught up, your mask should look like this. Sorry if I have a little bit of delay. Okay, we still need to do the binding and the strings for the top and the bottom. This is the home stretch. If you've gotten this far, you are golden, and you're going to find out that it gets easier. I'm promising you it gets easier. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your real long ones that you sewed together, and you're just going to hit it really quick with the iron just to make sure you get out any wrinkles. We don't want wrinkles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cheat method to make some binding. And this time, because it is such a long piece, I'm just going to fold it in half at this point. Which sometimes sounds easier said than done. I just want to reiterate, this is not a replacement for proper personal equipment, protective equipment, personal protective equipment, PPEs. This does not take the place of an N95 mask. This enhances, helps, hopefully. From all my nursing friends, this is what they're asking for, okay? So what we're going to do really quick is I am going to deal with my computer here really quickly because it's wanting to go into sleep mode. energy saver mode, I should say. Okay, that should fix it. So now that we've done it in half, we're going to open it up, and we're going to keep it up there. And we're going to fold it to the middle. If this does not work for you, then by all means, do it the other way that we did before, where you sew it first and then iron it. But I'm making my own binding right now. I've got a ton of these to make. My daughter is in nursing school. My 3 best friends are nurses. My neighbor is a nurse. One of my friends is going through chemotherapy right now for breast cancer. My husband flies medevac. My neighbor is recovering from breast cancer. So I won't be busy. Thank God I'm working from home for the unforeseeable future. Again, I'm not going to reiterate this enough. This does not take the place of the mask. I am not saying it does. I'm not even saying this is going to help. I am saying this is what my nursing friends, medical field industry friends, are all requesting. This way, if they have to use one of their N95s and it's not a COVID patient, they can simply take this cover off, wash it, and use their mask again, so they say. I am not a medical professional. I mean, I know animal medicine, and coronavirus in animals is pretty deadly too. That's why we always vaccinate against coronavirus in animals. When you get your dog's vaccine, you'll notice they've given him or her a DHLPPC. That C stands for coronavirus. But this one is a pretty nasty strain, human strain. I do not believe this is a zoonotic, which means it jumps from humans to animals, animals to humans, in the way that rabies can, if you're bitten or anything like that. I do believe this is because they were eating bats that were infected with a strain of coronavirus, and over time, it became zoonotic. So let's just hope that our furry friends do not get it. That will overrun everybody, to include the veterinarians, the medical professionals, because everybody who's got a pet. But let's not fearmonger here. So the best thing to do, social distance like me for the last 9 days. I have not left my house. I'm not considered high risk, but in my job on a daily, I am around hundreds of people. And my last event that I had to go to, which was over 100 people, I had a luncheon to go to. 2 days later was when my company pulled me and said, "You're working from home." And then I have my husband around it all the time. So now that you have your binding done, let's go ahead and attach it. And this, you will want to use needles, pins for this one just to hold it in place because it's not going to want to stay where you're going to want to put it. Find where you sewed it together. Sorry, I just had a soda, so I am shaky, like I'll get out. Make sure it lays flat, go all the way to the end. This is crazy. So I don't live too far from an airport, and I'm hearing airplanes fly over, and I'm just stunned. And who might be flying? I hope it's somebody important. I would be terrified. So if you've done the binding the way that I've done it, you can start at the end and work your way. But it looks like I am going to have to take a second and put a new bobbin in. I always check my bobbin before I go on a long stretch. Oh my, where's on my head? Because there's nothing worse than being in the middle of a stitch and your sewing machine saying, not today, sugar pie, not today. Okay, so we're good to go there. So I'm going to start at the end of my stitch, or I'm sorry, at the end of my string, end of my rope, more like it. And don't forget to do a back stitch because you do not want it to unravel. So we're going to go forward, backwards, and forward. And you're going to want to stitch it as close to the bottom where the two ends meet as possible. I mean, you can do it in the middle if you want. That's up to you. I prefer doing it towards the bottom. It just gives it a little bit more finished look. Like, I really think you could be using string here and nobody's going to care. I guess I should put this. I know you probably can't see because of the light of my sewing machine. But I hope you're following along. The light of my sewing machine and my hands in the way. Now when you get to the part where the mask is, make sure everything is snug in there. I'm going to pull my pin out here. Make sure it's all flat. Make sure everything is nice and flat and in there good. This is one place that you don't want to go very fast on because you want to make sure it stays together and does not come apart. Especially for you beginner sewers. Still with me? You doing good, everyone? that hard once you learn the steps. We're getting towards the end. Don't forget our back stitch. Okay, this portion is done. Let me see. Do I have it on right? Or is this the bottom? Is this the top? Oh, I might have it upside down. Darn it. So the bottom is complete. So now I'm going to work on my binding for the top. I'm going to show you how it looks. This is how it should look. Okay, it's all sewn in, and it's sewn all the way down. And I do have a string hanging off here. No problemo. I think this might be easier. People are messaging me left and right for these things. Our local police department needs 125. I can't do this alone. I'm praying to God that they find the mask so they can use these covers. We'll see. Again, this is not to replace the mask. This is to supplement the mask. And when this is all over, this will be a really good mask to have for yard work, not for epoxy use. This is not rated for that at all. This is a good dust mask if you're dusting, or if you have a cold or the flu and you need to go to the doctor. Throw this sucker on. It'll be a pretty way at least to say, I got cooties, stay away. But I do not want anyone to think for 1 second that this is going to prevent you from getting the coronavirus. Okay? I don't know how I can stress this anymore. So I was just repeating myself over and over and over again. I am a scientific brain, believe it or not. And I believe the only way anything's going to get better is by people staying home. Some people have asked me if they can do this using sheets. I don't know. This material is similar to that of sheets, but it does have a little bit of a tighter weave than sheets. I guess maybe if you double or triple that, it might work. I can't say. Right now, I would kill to be able to go to the store and buy binding. They even have some binding that has like sticky stuff on it, so you can just like iron it on. And then you don't need any pins or anything, and just it's on. It's really cool stuff. Okay, so I've got mine ready. I'm going to go ahead and place mine with pins. Starting in the middle. Don't stick yourself. Okay, I'm going to start sewing again, starting at the end. Get into a pin and pull that sucker out. Because I think I told you at the beginning of this video, I break sewing machine needles on pins. Make sure it's in there good.